The views and opinions of the hosts and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the views of the management and staff of Guardian Radio.
Good morning, F&M making a big case for Brian Brown in Golden Isles last night. And the Princess Margaret Hospital suspends a nurse over a viral video. Later in our show, in our 9 o'clock hour, we're talking about preventative measures. It's always a good show. That's all straight ahead this morning. I'm Chester Robards filling in for Dwight Strachan, and this is Morning Blend.
It's a new day. It's the start of a new way. Don't you know that it's the start of the end of the old way. Wake up, it's a new day.
Good morning again, Bahamas. It is Friday, November 7th. 2025. This is Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9. Again, I'm Chester Robards, filling in for Dwight Strachan. In a moment, Alexis Burrows will be joining us also this morning in Morning Blend Business Preventative Measures. You know what that's all about. But first, it's time for the overnight, the latest breaking news from while you were sleeping and the top national and international headlines this morning. And in the overnight, Brian Brown, the Free National Movement's candidate for Golden Isles last night, made a case for why residents in the constituency should vote for him and reject the Progressive Liberal Party and its candidate, Darren Pickstock. Brown said he's never left Golden Isles, but questioned who Pickstock is and where has he been while the constituency was neglected. Brown said during the F&M's rally in the alley, "They seem to forget I didn't wait for an election to start serving. When families needed help, Brian Brown showed up. When the community needed work, I got to work." Residents in Golden Isles will vote for one of four candidates on the November 24th by-election. And a veteran nurse at Princess Margaret Hospital has been suspended for 2 weeks after releasing a video on social media passionately pleading with the Prime Minister, Philip Davis, to address what she described as major issues at the facility, including leaky roofs, medical supply shortages, and rodent infestation. But while the Public Hospitals Authority defended its decision to suspend her, Minister of Health and Wellness Dr. Michael Darville disagreed with the action taken. In the video, Pearl Williams, who has been a nurse for 44 years, appealed to Davis to deliver long-awaited change at PMH. She said, quote, "Mr. Prime Minister, out of the goodness of your heart, please listen to the many concerns we have at the Princess Margaret Hospital. The roofs are leaking, Mr. Prime Minister, lack of supplies, lack of human resources, not to mention the rodent problem that we have." And former Anglican Archbishop Drexel Gomez was heralded yesterday as a larger-than-life figure whose legacy impacted the religious community in the Bahamas and abroad, and a man of integrity who was devoted to his faith and family. A state-recognized funeral was held for the retired Archbishop at Christ Church Cathedral in Nassau. Following the service, Gomez's body was marched to St. Agnes Anglican Church on Blue Hill, where he was buried. Former Cabinet Minister Damien Gomez, KC, the Archbishop's oldest child, gave an emotional and at times tearful tribute to his father. Gomez mentioned the respect his father enjoyed from those around the world, highlighting the adoration his father received from international academic theologians. And the Ministry of Labor and the Public Service collaborated with the National Tripartite Council to host a workshop at the National Training Agency yesterday where officials discussed the issue of maternity benefits for workers. The International Labor Organization Convention 183 aims to promote the health and safety of mothers and children during pregnancy and after childbirth. Labor and Public Service Minister Pierre Glover-Roll yesterday said, quote, "I know significant progress has been made in that avenue. However, many women still talk about things like postpartum that still aren't addressed. So that is what is going to be addressed in this convention, all of the nuances that affect pregnant workers or mothers, their well-being in terms of going back to work, in terms of when they have to leave work, and in terms of being assured that they have security of tenure during the time that they become a mother." Let's turn our attention overseas now. The FAA order to cut flights nationwide due to the government shutdown is in effect. The Federal Aviation Administration's unprecedented order to scale back flights nationwide because of the record-long government shutdown took effect today, with some passengers trying to figure out backup travel plans. The 40 airports selected by the FAA span more than 24 states and include hubs such as Atlanta, Dallas, Denver, Los Angeles, and Charlotte, North Carolina, according to the order. In some metropolitan areas, including New York, Houston, Chicago, and Washington, multiple airports will be impacted, while the ripple effect could reach smaller airports as well. Airlines scrambled to adjust their schedules and begin canceling flights Thursday in anticipation of the FAA's official order, while travelers with plans for the weekend and beyond wait nervously to learn if their flights would take off as scheduled. Airlines also planned cancellations into the weekend, directing passengers to check apps to learn their flight status. More than 815 flights have been called off nationwide, according to FlightAware. Delta Airlines said it would scratch roughly 170 flights Friday, and American Airlines planned to cut 220 per day through Monday. And the world's richest man was just handed a chance to become history's first trillionaire. Elon Musk won a shareholder vote on Thursday that would give the Tesla CEO stock worth $1 trillion if he hits certain performance targets over the next decade. The vote followed weeks of debate over his management record at the electric car maker and whether anyone deserves such an unprecedented pay, drawing heated commentary from small investors to giant pension funds and even the Pope. In the end, more than 75% of voters approved the plan as shareholders gathered in Austin, Texas for their annual meeting. Musk said after the final vote was tallied, "Fantastic group of shareholders, hang on to your Tesla stock." Let's take a look at sports now. And on your sports page, the 2025 Bahamas Association of Independent Secondary Schools Softball Championships will add another chapter to the ongoing sports rivalry between the Queens College Comets and the St. Augustine's Big Red Machine. Both schools' junior and senior teams advance out of their respective sudden death playoff matchups on Wednesday evening at the Freedom Farm Fields. In the junior division, the second-seeded Comets, who are the defending champions, ousted the third-seeded St. Anne's Blue Waves in a closely contested matchup, 15-14. On the other side of the bracket, the top-seeded SAC dominated fourth-seeded Aquinas College, 16-1 to reclaim their spot in the championship game. In the senior division, the second-seeded Big Red Machine toppled the St. Andrews Hurricanes, 18-13, to secure their place in the finals. The top-seeded Comets made it look easy against the fourth-seeded Charles W. Saunders Cougars. The defending champions edged out the Cougars 19-9 for yet another championship berth. And Aiden Notch's second straight double-double since returning from injury. Los Angeles Lakers center DeAndre Ayton has been a in the team's front court. The The Bahamian big man recorded his second consecutive double-double of the 2025-2026 National Basketball Association season in the Lakers' narrow 118-116 victory over the San Antonio Spurs on Wednesday at Crypto.com Arena in Los Angeles, California. He contributed 22 points, 10 rebounds, and 2 blocks in 33 minutes of action. It was his fourth double-double of the season. And despite 3 players in double figures in the University of Bahamas Mingos lost a nail-biter to the Nassau Flight Services Ballers in UB 76-72 in UB Showcase action Tuesday night at the Kendall Isaacs Gym. Internationally, Cowboys' Marshawn Nealon found dead of apparent suicide at 24 after evading officers. Police in the Dallas suburbs say 24-year-old Dallas Cowboys defensive end Marshawn Nealon was found dead of an apparent suicide after evading authorities in his vehicle and fleeing the scene of an accident on foot. Frisco police said Thursday they are investigating the suicide. They say Nealon didn't stop for the Texas Department of Public Safety troopers over a traffic violation in a chase that was joined by Frisco police on Wednesday night. And if you're a soccer fan, FIFA has announced the creation of a Peace Prize, which it plans to award for the first time at the draw for the World Cup on December 5th in Washington. The award, called the FIFA Peace Prize, will recognize exceptional actions for peace, soccer's governing body said Wednesday. But FIFA President Gianni Infantino, who has a close relationship with President Donald Trump, would not tip his hand Wednesday when asked if Trump will be the first recipient of the award. On the 5th of December, you will see, Infantino said. He was speaking at the America Business Forum in Miami shortly after Trump addressed the same event. That's the overnight, and your first look at sports, your first look at weather is up next. Let's look at weather, brought to you by Star General Insurance Made Simple. Your general situation, a frontal trough is slowly drifting northward across the central Bahamas. This system, along with upper-level troughing and moisture from the Gulf, is generating shower activity across islands north of the front. Meanwhile, high pressure is maintaining gentle winds across the country. The surface to mid-level trough will continue to produce shower activity across the northern, northwest, and portions of the central Bahamas through late Saturday morning before a stable air mass moves in, supporting drier conditions to conclude the week. The next cold front is expected to move into the northern Bahamas by early next week, producing strong winds, rough seas, and cooler temperatures. In special weather notes, beachgoers and swimmers across all areas are advised to exercise caution along Atlantic exposed beaches as there is a moderate risk of rip currents. And due to the full moon, residents should be alert for flooding along banks, marshes, and coastal areas during high tide. For the northern Bahamas, your weather, cloudy, a 10 to 20% chance of isolated showers, winds east to southeast at 10 knots or less, falling light and variable at times. Your high temperature 81 degrees Fahrenheit, your low 73 degrees Fahrenheit. For the northwest Bahamas, cloudy, a 20 to 30% chance of showers or an isolated thunderstorm. Winds south to south at 10 knots or less, falling light and variable at times. Your high temperature 81 degrees Fahrenheit, your low 73 degrees Fahrenheit. For the central Bahamas, weather partly sunny today, becoming fair tonight. A 10 to 20% chance of showers, winds southeasterly at 10 knots or less, falling light and variable at times. Your high temperature 81 degrees Fahrenheit, your low 73 degrees Fahrenheit. And for the southeast Bahamas, partly sunny today, fair tonight. A 10 to 20% chance of showers. Winds east to southeast at 10 to 15 knots or less, falling light and variable at times. Your high temperature 81 degrees Fahrenheit, your low 73 degrees Fahrenheit. No tropical cyclone formation is expected during the next 7 days. We'll have more weather for you later on in the show. When we come back, we're discussing some of the day's top stories. That's when Morning Blend returns here on Guardian Radio 96.9, home of fresh news and smart talk all day.
Wake up, it's a new day. It's the start of a new way. Don't you know that it's the start of the end of the old way. Wake up, it's a new day.
Attention RBC clients. To comply with regulatory requirements and to avoid service interruption, you need to update your information at your RBC branch. While you're there, enroll in RBC Digital Banking for 24/7 access to your accounts anytime, anywhere. Update your information and bank at your convenience with RBC Digital Banking today.
Ready for magical holiday fun as Santa and Snow Bear make their grand entrance on Saturday, November 8th at noon at Kelly's House and Home. Come and join the fun until 5 p.m. for an afternoon filled with games, face painting, bouncy castles, treats, and more. Meet Santa and Snow Bear and take your picture with them and also save 20% on all toys, except on net items, with our fabulous toy sale. Kick off the holiday season with the arrival of Santa and Snow Bear at Kelly's House and Home. Happy holidays!
At Cleveland Clinic, you set your course, not cancer. So when your journey takes an unexpected turn, you seek out the experts who've conquered it before, and you forge new paths to help fight cancers. For every route to a cure, for every care in the world. See how we're innovating cancer care at Cleveland Clinic today.
Looking to elevate your gadget game or a tech trouble simply slowing you down? Escape to a world of innovation at Custom Computers, your go-to store for the latest cutting-edge tech. Whether you need to upgrade your life with the best from Apple and Windows or your device needs a little TLC, the Custom Computers Know-How Store is the destination for unbeatable expertise and quality repairs. With 2 convenient locations, there's a Custom Computers near you on Patton Street in Palmdale and Caves Village, or call 396-1100.
If you come from the island, you know nothing is more important than family. I am Brian Brown, and the people of Golden Isles are my family. I'm proud to serve my neighbors and friends. I'm asking for your vote to be your next MP. I believe in showing up all the time, not just election time. So on November 24th, vote F&M, because this time around, we are going with Brian Brown.
Paid for by the Free National Movement.
'Tis the season for dreams to come true. There's Santa for the kids and CIBC Caribbean for you. Whether it's a house, land, vehicle, or upgrading your home, CIBC Caribbean can support your dreams with the financing you need. Enjoy incredible cashback deals with mortgages and land loans. Plus, your approved loan gives you a chance to win up to US $5,000. Apply now at www.cibccaribbean.com/sweeten the season. Terms and conditions apply.
Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day. It's the start of a new way. Don't you know that it's the start of the end of the old way. Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day.
Welcome back to Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9. We are streaming live on GuardianTalkRadio.com and the Guardian Radio app for your smart devices, and on your televisions on Cable Bahamas Channel 969 or BTC Flow Channel 612. Guardian Radio is on social media. We are on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Again, I'm Chester Robards. Joining me now, Alexis Burrows. Good morning.
Morning, Chester. Morning, Bahamas.
How you doing? Glad to be joining you here on Morning Blend.
Man, I'm good. We've got a lot of interesting stories in the news today.
Yep, absolutely. And you can join our conversation today. You can tweet us at MorningBlend969 or follow the hashtag MorningBlend. Be sure to like our Facebook page, facebook.com/MorningBlend969. Leave your comments and read what others are saying about topics on the show. You can email us at morningblend@nascar.com. You can text us on the Guardian Radio text line powered by BTC. Text us at 422-GR96. That's 422-4796. You can call us 323-6232, 325-4316, 325-4259. You can call us from the Family Islands, toll free 242-300-5720. And of course, if you text us, standard text rates do apply. Also coming up this morning, more weather and traffic. We have business news coming up in Morning Blend Business at 9 a.m. But first, it's time to talk about what's in the news. And in the news, this story started to make its rounds yesterday, but a nurse from PMH suspended over a viral video. Read some of this story here. A veteran nurse at Princess Margaret Hospital has been suspended for 2 weeks after releasing a video on social media passionately pleading with Prime Minister Philip Davis to address what she described as major issues at the facility, including leaky roofs, medical supply shortages, and rodent infestation. So she's saying in her video, quote, Prime Minister, out of the goodness of your heart, please listen to the many concerns we have at Princess Margaret Hospital. The roofs are leaking, Mr. Prime Minister, lack of supplies, lack of human resources, not to mention the rodent problem that we have. When will the accident and emergency department be open, Mr. Prime Minister, so that we can treat our patients with dignity and privacy? Out of the goodness of your heart, please listen to the cries for help. Bring about change, much needed change in the Princess Margaret Hospital. So the PHA confirmed the suspension in a statement they released yesterday. They said the Public Hospitals Authority confirms that an employee has been suspended pending the outcome of an internal investigation following the circulation of a video on social media. This matter is being addressed in accordance with the authority's social media policy, which outlines strict standards for professionalism, confidentiality, and responsible online conduct. Breaches of these standards are taken seriously to protect the dignity of patients, staff, and the public. Beyond disciplinary action, the PHA is actively strengthening operational protocols and addressing identified gaps. Right. I think that's most of what you need to know about that story. We can read. Before I go on, I do have to say happy birthday to my niece. Yeah, she's 5 today. Talia.
There you go.
Abigail Archer. Happy birthday, baby girl. So yes, PHA issued a statement, and then the minister issued a statement, which I will find here. But you will see that the minister said he does not agree with the action taken by PHA to suspend the nurse. So that was interesting. I'm going to find that right now. Yep. I've been made aware of reports concerning the suspension of a nurse within the Public Hospitals Authority. While I have not yet been fully briefed on all the details, I wish to state clearly that I do not agree with the decision to suspend the nurse at this stage. I respect the independence of the PHA and the protocols that guide its internal invest. However, we must remember that our nurses continue to serve under tremendous pressure, giving care and comfort to our people every day. Fairness and compassion must always guide how we treat those who dedicate their lives to the well-being of others. I've asked to be brief on the matter, and once that happens, I intend to engage directly with the PHA to ensure that due process is followed and that the nurse involved is treated justly. Our ministry remains committed to upholding professional standards while supporting the men and women who carry the weight of our public health system. Honorable Dr. Michael Darville, Minister of Health and Wellness. I think all the cards have been laid out there. I got one more trump card to pass out, but let's talk about it first.
Okay, so I feel like this is a place where you have to separate the political answer from the corporate answer, right?
Right.
And so everything that this nurse presented is obviously issues. And I think for anybody who has had to get services at PMH, they know that there are a lot of challenges, right?
Yeah.
For people who work in the organization and people who know, there are challenges. I have difficulty with the minister's response only from the standpoint that if you have a policy in place in terms of what is allowed in terms of communication and things like that, then the policy is the policy, right?
Right.
Now, you can argue the point that, hey, the issues that she's raising are legitimate and we need to address them, and we will address them. That's fine.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it is a thing where the policy, you have to be able to separate the two, right? You have a policy, for example, you work for an organization, you can't go online and just put out there, hey, we have this and this and this and this and this going on, and then expect there to not be a punishment or a penalty. They didn't fire her, right? They provided a 2-week suspension. So it's a little strange to me because, like I said, I get it. I get empathizing with the issues. I think we all can empathize with the issues that exist within the facility, while also saying, hey, but you also can't say, because again, knowing the issues that exist in the facility, if you say that this is okay, then everybody, you now open the door for other people who are aware of perhaps more interesting and challenging things to then say it's okay for you to now come on social media and say, well, this and this and this is going on as well. I think that's kind of the concern I have with saying, hey, I disagree with the suspension.
Yeah. Well, I think what Davo was saying is maybe PHA should have been a little more discerning about what she was saying and what she was going through. But I'm glad you mentioned that because this was being passed around also last night. So we do have a Freedom of Information Act. It was passed. It is supposed to have teeth. Notwithstanding that there's no commission to really enforce it. But it has language like this whistleblower area that says no person may be subject to any legal, administrative, or employment-related sanction regardless of any breach of a legal or employment-related obligation for releasing information on wrongdoing or that which would disclose a serious threat to health, safety, or the environment, as long as he acted in good faith and in the reasonable belief that the information was substantially true and disclosed evidence of wrongdoing or a serious threat to health, safety, or the environment. For the purpose of subsection 1, wrongdoing includes but is not limited to the commission of a criminal offense, failure to comply with legal obligations, miscarriage of justice, corruption, dishonesty, serious maladministration, etc. That exists in law. Was she whistleblowing? It could be seen as that, even though a lot of the things she brought up is absolute common knowledge.
Right.
And she was making a plea to the prime minister that the stuff has gone on long enough. No matter how you look at it, the law is saying this is kind of allowed.
That's interesting.
If you consider this threat, the threats to the health threats, the rodents, the leaky roofs that could produce mold, which we've heard of over and over again.
That do produce mold.
Which we've heard of over and over again, right? Threat health.
No, they are.
Health threats.
The challenges are legitimate. That's interesting.
Yeah. But again, how do we look at the Freedom of Information Act?
Well, right, so there's that part of it, and then it's also, do you consider this type of, I guess, dissemination of the information,
Whistleblowing.
Do you consider that whistleblowing?
Yeah.
Right. Now we'd have to go into that a little bit more, even in terms of the act, because in my understanding, I feel like whistleblowing is you go still within certain confines. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not necessarily a general public social media display. I don't know if that counts in that regard. I did see. I think that the PHA indicated, she could have taken those concerns directly through like the office of Prime Minister, to have those addressed, and perhaps that would have been the route. That sort of direct communication, either with the Minister of Health or the PM, to say, okay, that would be considered whistleblowing. I wonder where this general public display of information fits within even in the confines of the Freedom of Information Act of what that would count for. If that counts as whistleblowing, or it's kind of outside of the scope.
Yeah, and there's the rub, right? So you kind of, what is the person talking about? This kind of, there's policy, like you mentioned. There are channels and roads that you take to get to certain outcomes that you want, but we're all Bahamians. We all understand how our system over and over again fails when you try to follow those laid out protocols. We all know how long, as you mentioned, PMH has been in this state. How this nurse has been a nurse for 44 years.
Yeah.
Can you imagine 44 years of frustration?
Yeah. And that's the thing. To me, I don't know that there's anything that she said that wasn't common knowledge.
Right.
That's the other part.
That's
of it,
the other
right?
thing. Yeah.
And so perhaps if Darvel is coming from it from that standpoint, which is well, we kind of all, but then that becomes an interesting to say, because as a Minister of Health to say, well, there's common knowledge, then it's like, so why aren't you doing, why aren't the fixes in place? Because these are concerns that we've heard from people in the space. You have other members of staff who complain about the mold, and the mold leading to like long-term health issues. Right. And there's a lot that's there. Yeah. Right. There's a lot of challenges that exist in that environment that, from my vantage right now, I understand, you and I both kind of ham close to the environment, but at the same time, it's still common knowledge, not just for people who are close to it. It's for people who just,
Yeah. Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And the thing is, this other line from PHA, beyond disciplinary action, the PHA is actively strengthening operational protocols, whatever that means, and addressing identified gaps. Now, which identified gaps? The ones she identified? Or just all of them? Or, someone said to me yesterday regarding this particular thing, this has been going on for a long time. The accident and emergency has been under construction
quite some time.
I don't know. Was it 6 years? Somebody could help me with it. 5?
It's
a long construction process, and God knows how many cost overruns. I would love to hear that story. That'd be a good nighttime story, right? But we always talk about it. We keep talking about it. The government has gotten funding for a whole new other building.
So, and that's the thing that people have frustration with, right?
Yeah.
It's like we're already moving on to an entirely separate specialist hospital when there are a large number of challenges that exist with, the primary hospital that we have.
Right. I think people would have swallowed the pill better if you were building an entirely new public hospital. But I don't know.
That's a different conversation.
That's a whole different conversation. But then, how do you address the problems that are at the current hospital? And like you mentioned, this shouldn't be a political football. And I think people started to get kind of worried about that yesterday as well. So we'll see.
But that's the thing. Even from that standpoint, I think there's value in, understanding policy and saying outside of that, I am going to then directly engage with her to ascertain the full run of what the complaints are and then develop an action plan to address it as the minister, right?
Right.
In conjunction with PHA.
Yeah.
So that way you allow their policy to have teeth because, it should when you consider what else could come out of that. You open Pandora's box.
Right.
If you say, hey, it's okay, anybody who works within the Public Hospitals Authority, whatever you see, go on social media and blast it to high heaven. That is... You don't want that, right? Yeah. But I do think you can still speak to understanding and having empathy by saying, I'm going to engage with, especially you're talking about someone who's been there for 44 years, and address her directly. Right. I think there's a way that you can navigate that where you don't, open up Pandora's box to everybody could say whatever they see going wrong within the facility.
Right, absolutely. We got some calls coming in already. Let's try and take some calls there. Maybe not yet. Okay, let's read some text messages. Hey, Chester, how you know that video is an AI? Or you have to be a high-profile person and claim video and voice notes are so-called AI. Okay. Good morning. Policy is policy separate. That decision made from the doctor's statement. She is a senior nurse and should not have taken to social media. Also, though she and others are frustrated, decision taken by PHA is reasonable. Okay. And the PHA was correct to take action. There are rules. The minister shouldn't have to figure anything out. The nurse is a whistleblower. There should be a whistleblower protection law that would protect persons bringing legitimate concerns to light. Precisely, in this case, public dissemination was the only route. Does anyone believe the PM and the health minister haven't been told over and over again about moles, rats, and leaky roofs? Please. We don't even have to have that conversation. Whistleblowing is coming forward publicly with hidden information by any form of communication outlet. I guess that's what they're saying because that wasn't the right word. Good morning. PMH is a death trap, and all medical personnel should walk off in support of the nurse. The working conditions are sickening, and as a citizen, we are sick, no pun intended, of the neglect of our public health system just so that these private doctors can... Okay. Some policies are repressive and must be fought against. I agree with the minister. Bahamians unite. Well, Bahamians suspended the nurse. The nurse did the right thing. The PM knows, the commissioner knows, everyone knows, and yet PMH is horrible. Kudos to the nurse for speaking up. Well, they got the nice new section there, though, right? So who gets suspended for a tractor to service farms? What? A tractor sitting near the ocean, suffering corrosion. I don't know what that's about. It's policies why so many of our medical staff are accepting the offers from Canada, the US, and UK and leaving the frustrated working conditions at PMH. I mean, that story keeps going on and on as well. Good morning, Chester and guests. I truly believe that because it was one of their own who went on social media and expressed her frustrations, that is why the consequence is what it is. As you mentioned, everyone knows of the issues of PMH, but it stings a bit more or carries more weight when an actual worker speaks out. Why should it, though? Let's take this call now. Yeah. Good morning, caller. Welcome to Morning Blend.
Good morning, Chester, and good morning to your guest.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Grammy boy here.
Oh, the inside.
Exactly. You got it. You got it. This is who basically got everything started with Sister Pearl from last week. And I want to set the record straight in that Dr. Darville was the first person that Grammy Boy contacted with all of the information. He knew everything. Second, it was given to Dr. MacGyver. And I put a finger on her and I told her, wait to see what the minister is going to do. And to date, he basically has done nothing. So MacGyver took off with it. And after MacGyver, it was Dwayne Sands that took off with it. And now they're coming from behind to say, oh, we don't agree. Well, let's set the record straight like your guest. I like what you and your guest ended with earlier. Public knowledge. Sister Williams never, ever disclosed confidential information about any patient or any of the intricacies of Princess Margaret Hospital.
Yeah.
What she spoke about was public knowledge. The minister had just said we getting $75,000 the week before to help at the hospital and to fix A&E. So the only thing she was basically doing was asking for help and reiterating has already been said for years. You understand? Let me describe something else. You two was right on target. Two had a little mix up. Policy. A policy is something that is constructed on the foundation of the Constitution. The Constitution is it's just like we build in a house. The Constitution is the foundation of that house. Anything else you put on that foundation must coincide with that foundation or it's going off. In this case, Sister Williams has the right. Article 23 and 24 of the Constitution covers her, gives her the right to freedom of association, freedom of speech, freedom of congregation, freedom of religion, etc., etc. This policy that was made up after she signed her contract years ago was made up to say, oh, you can't say nothing on social media, which is ultra virus to our Constitution. So that policy needs to fall away because you can't shut the woman up. And like I said, the woman was only reiterating public knowledge. She didn't give any confidential information out. Confidential information is, oh, Chester been to Africa and he was under the table feeding the monkeys. That's confidential information. Okay? And Sister Williams is a stellar nurse. She helps everybody. I can vouch for that. And she's a very quiet woman. And it really got out of hand because I can tell you, see, I don't work there. I go there. I can tell you the real crux of the matter is the place is leaking. It is causing mold. And the real thing she couldn't say, well, I wouldn't even put her in that, is the rats, the rodents, are getting in the beds with the patients and nibbling on them at night. And this ain't something what nobody else tell you. There's something GNN telling you. And I've been trying to sound this alarm for months with videos with Dr. MacGyver and all of them, but Darwell and those and PHA staff, they standing up in the road, staring in the bright light.
Do you know somebody who's been nibbled on, or have you been nibbled on?
I've been nibbled on, buddy.
Okay.
I've been nibbled
just
on.
making sure we just ain't hearsay.
Let me tell you, say you want me to come up there and show you the
I
nibble?
don't want to see it, to be honest, but yeah.
Listen, let me tell you what I can do for you all. I want to get with you and Dwight and them, and I want to bring you all some information that GNN been compiling. See, the other patients, we complain. Since we complain about things, I am an ex-shop steward. I compile information and evidence. And if I show you all the evidence I got, that'll be another thing on PMH, okay? I talk about hardcore evidence and recordings.
You know,
I want to set that up at GNN, Guardian Radio, and we can do this thing. But Sister Williams needs to be reinstated ASAP. No questions asked. Her Constitution and her rights has been violated. Thanks for taking GNN call.
Appreciate it. Let's take this other call. Anybody else have stories of being nibbled on? Could let us know. Could you turn your radio down for us, caller?
Hello,
Are you there?
Good morning. Am I on?
Hey, yes, you are.
Morning.
Good morning and a pleasant day to you and your co-host. Certainly, I'm in full agreement way before the last caller, but I'm glad that he made it very crystal clear. First and foremost, I'm a little bit also in disagreement about persons having a problem with the use of social media. Social media is the new thing. And we have more rats in Nassau than human beings. And that needs to be addressed across the nation. I want to salute the nurse for speaking out clearly, calmly. I listened to the video myself yesterday, and with no malice, she didn't even agitate the nurses to do as the teachers did. So I'm hoping that she is on that 2 weeks with pay, will be reinstated forthwith, perhaps even apologized to, and compensated. If she doesn't speak, as a matter of fact, her speaking brought more legitimacy and credibility to the situation. And also, must she speak after she's dead or after she retires? No. And I'm happy that even though the senior nurse, she didn't violate any secrecy, so to speak, because sometimes they ask you to sign secrecy. You sign a contract, you sign to say that you can't talk about the truth.
Yeah, indeed.
And by not talking about the truth, you are participating in the lie.
Yep, thank you. Appreciate that.
Amen.
Yep. Let's read some more of these text messages. I agree 1,000% with PHA. She wasn't whistleblowing what new information she gave. We all knew what she said. What job can you go on and call out your boss like that? This is the silly political season. I mean,
that's a fair point, though. Like I said, if you work for an organization and you have policy about, so let's say
you work in a building, a private building.
Right.
Let's say where we work at, and the ceiling started to fall. I videotaped it falling on my head, and I put it on social media. I got injured too. Was I wrong for that? Should I be fired? Oh, they videotaped the ceiling falling down on him at his job. I'm telling people that this is what had happened to me. I could even use it as evidence in court. Good thing I did it. I mean, why is that wrong?
That is true. I guess it would be one of those. I wonder what the policy explicitly states with regards to social media, which you can and cannot post.
I'm glad you said that, because I was gonna bring that up, because it says PHA video on social media. This matter is being addressed in accordance with the authority's social media policy, which outlines strict standards for professionalism, confidentiality, and responsible online conduct. What does that mean? What does it specifically outline?
Right.
What can you say, not say?
Right.
How deep does it go when you in this policy that you sign on social media?
Right, because obviously it wouldn't be patient confidentiality or anything like that. This would be that last part of it, which is reasonable online, I guess, conduct. Is you're putting something out. I think the challenge with this is, like everybody keeps coming back to, it's common knowledge. I think that's the issue. And that's where, like I said, perhaps that's where Darvel is coming at it from as well. But the larger question that it raises is, why can't these things be addressed? Right. We are living in a time where private healthcare is getting more and more difficult to attain. So there are going to be more regular, like everyday Bahamians who have to go into the public system for care, and our primary hospital has to be in better shape and better condition, because you have a lot of people like Nurse Williams who's dedicated countless hours, days, months, years of their lives in providing service, but they're doing it in an environment that a lot of times isn't safe for them, isn't safe for patients. And so you understand and you get it, right? So why can't it be addressed? We're looking to invest, an inordinate amount of money in a specialist hospital when we still have a lot of challenges with the everyday hospital that people have to go into for just anything that is beyond, a cut or a scrape.
Yep, absolutely. You said it. Why can't we address it? Why haven't we addressed it over the years?
Because that spans governments, that spans multiple health ministers, multiple sets of administration within PHA. This isn't, and that's the thing, this isn't even like an attack on what's current. This has been an ongoing issue for, I would say, decades. And so from that standpoint, everybody is being held to account.
That's right. Good morning. All these years with PMH in horrible shape, nobody got fired or suspended, but a nurse expressed her constitutional rights by just speaking the truth. The lousy management at PMH sent her home. Sometimes I wonder. That's an interesting point. Like, in some other countries, you're not meeting certain KPIs. You the head of this thing, and every head that doesn't meet those KPIs is going to get chopped off. Doesn't happen in a lot of areas around here.
No. So that they raise a good point.
Yeah.
What is leadership being held to account for? Right. I think it becomes interesting because in the private sector that's different, right?
Yeah.
Because so much like money and reputation and all that involved. In the public sector, it gets a little bit dicey because when you say, well, hey, PMH has been, some people say falling apart for forever. Yeah. The responsibility ultimately falls on who? Who's the head?
Right.
Right? And so you come at that, you come in for your own neck, right?
Yeah.
And that's why I say, you also can't stand on, well, it's not us. No, it's been everybody who's sat in that seat for the last 20 years, right? Or longer, perhaps. And so that's the issue. Because you say, well, who's the head? Which is it? The managing director? Is it the minister of health? Who falls in that category? Because that ultimately is like who bears the responsibility.
And I could guarantee you, they still having Christmas party, getting Christmas bonuses. And other bonuses.
Meanwhile, you have the leaky roof, the mold, the infestation.
Yeah, let it fester and sink in.
I'm still sitting here with the rats nibbling on patients in the bed. That's rent free in my brain.
This person says this person says you may not be wrong, I guess, for videotaping the roof falling on your head inside your office, but you likely will become familiar with Section 29 of the Employment Act. Can you just tell me what it is? I got to go look for it.
I want you to research.
Let's take some more calls. We quickly come into our break. 8 o'clock news, right? Good morning, caller. Welcome to Morning Blend.
Good morning. How you doing?
Good. How you doing?
Didn't they pass whistleblower legislation some time ago in the Bahamas?
Specific whistleblower legislation? I don't recall.
Yeah, but anyway, I understand with NDAs and all these different things, right? But if you're on a job, NDAs really don't cover your personal safety and your well-being. If you feel something is hazardous or whatever, you have the right. Free speech kind of overshadows all that. But apart from the hospital situation, my thing is this. What bothers me about many Bahamians is that you have many I call them political prostitutes who sing the government's praises, come hell or high water. And you ask them if anything wrong the government is doing or any issues, and they will sing the government's praises until kingdom come.
Yes.
Because they're being paid or given contracts or whatever. But we have these issues that persist over and over and over and over. The hospital being one of them. Everyone knows the hospital is a rat-infested death trap, and no one seems to do anything about it because the persons in politics who are in charge, when they get sick, they don't go to the PMH. They go to the States. They go to this place. They go to that place. They don't never use PMH. We use PMH as the citizens, as ordinary citizens. And most Bahamians don't care until they're laying down and the rat nibble on their foot, and then they're like, what the hell, what happened here? Yeah. But the time now is to use your voice to speak out and say, listen, Mr. Prime Minister, you don't use the hospital, we do. Even if you're a PLP supporter or not, you should use your voice to demand change. And that's what Bahamians don't do until they're the ones, like I say, laying down with their foot getting nibbled on by rats. And then they say, oh, wow, why don't someone do something about it? That's the position we're in.
Yeah, I feel you. Maybe one suggestion would be to move PHA's offices into the old section of PMH.
Mm-hmm. Let it come and nibble on their toes, eh? Sorry.
A lot of nibbling going on around here.
Yeah, it's a lot for Friday morning.
It is. Let's take this next call.
Hey, Chester, good morning.
Hey,
good morning
good
to
morning.
your guest in studio.
Good morning.
Chester, this one is very close to the heart for me, and let me explain why. My mind goes on the Hippocratic Oath for all of the doctors, nurses, personnel that works around the hospital, and we as the Bahamian people when it says do no harm.
Mm-hmm.
And for those persons who work in Princess Margaret Hospital in particular, and I can tell you that I have a very good familiarity with PMH because my mother has been a nurse before retiring after 40 years, taught nursing. I've walked those wards with her as a little child, and I can tell you the Princess Margaret Hospital in this region was known as one of the best hospitals ever in this region. And to see the state and to hear the state that it's in, not just from the patients, for the doctors and nurses that have to work in that institution on a daily basis, come out and identify the problems that exist in there, it speaks volumes. I had a newborn that was born in there with an airborne virus in the hospital, and none of them said anything to us about my child before he passed. So, like I said, this thing cuts close to the heart. The politicians do not care, really, and I'm being very succinct with this, because if we look around this country right now and see the dilapidation and the falling down of our institutions and our ordinary day of life in this country, and you talk about the politicians care about we, the Bahamian people, we are talking garbage and we're deceiving ourselves. If we as Bahamians, see, the onus falls back on we as Bahamians. If we do not stand up and take up this mantle, kick the political parties aside, because guess what? All these parties serve is a division with the people.
Yeah.
We cannot unite hardly on anything in this country, and that's why we get what we get today. But you know, these guys, and I'll close on this, these fellas who keep on singing the praises, when all we see around us is death and destruction, listen, I cry shame on all of them. I have no pity. I have nothing for them because we are suffering in this country with lackluster services. We're suffering from a government system and institutions that don't work on the best behalf of the Bahamian people, and yet we sit here every day. Yeah, we complain on the radio because then guess what? This is our only way to get the message, not just nationally, but internationally, that we need help. And I'll close on that. We need help, Chester. We are frustrated as Bahamians. We are patriotic Bahamians. We want what's best for this country, and all we get is lackluster leadership in this country.
Yeah.
Thanks for taking my call.
Thank you. Appreciate it. This text messages speaks volumes, and it talks about what I joked about moving PHA. But this person says Chester PMH admin didn't even want to be in the old admin area. They spent money to renovate it, and as soon as the new critical block was finished, they moved to the top floor. The old admin is now for the security officers. PHA admin will never go there. Of course they won't.
But it shows you. It's
just let volumes. Just let it sink in. Let's try to take some more calls before we go to the news. Good morning, caller. Welcome to Morning Blend. Caller, you there?
Yes, hello, good morning.
Good morning. Yes, good morning.
Good morning to your guests in the studio. Chester, you know what I hate about people who talk with you calling and talk? But listen to me, you have to talk, you know. But freedom, I like the gentleman who called and talk with freedom of speech. I always listen to him, and it's my hard to know, like, young people, that's what they're up to enjoy. But he's always candid. But the thing is about speaking out, right? If anyone hasn't benefited from Guardian on the radio, the callers alike, and the host, then don't listen. You understand what I'm saying? But freedom of speech is not free. And throughout history, people have paid for what they've said. So, in all of this, well, of course, I'm fuming about the suspension of the nurse, right? It's a curse, and it can't get any worse. Now, listen to me, Chester. All of this talk, right? You know, I had a friend of mine who was fired about 3 weeks ago, during the time when they was talking, when there was some uproar about the pay that the government had promised them, right? And he passed a comment on Facebook. Somebody took a look, and now they fired him. So he has a case pending, I guess, before the labor board or whatever board for a tribunal review or whatever. You understand? And so he was afraid to speak out because the retribution. But he's also saying that they are reviewing would they help him because he was there for a substantial amount of time, and they are saying to him that he would have all of his time, and he was in the hospital, like let's say he had bills. They would take that out before they give him his money. So I'm just letting people know what's going on. This is what they're doing, okay?
Yeah.
Yeah,
appreciate it.
I mean, this is, you know, like Jeff said, see, Chester, passivity breeds mediocrity, right? And mental illness. It leads to apathy, learned helplessness. Just go look at Pavlov's experiments on learned helplessness and operant conditioning. And so once you become a passive, mindless, pathetic political sheep, you are responsible for the condition the country's in. But I got a joke for you and the guests, you know. I don't care if they go to the moon to the doctor. They still will all end up in the same place, 6'6", in a bottom box. Give thanks.
Yep, got you. We all gonna die. Let's take this next call. Good morning, caller. Welcome to Morning Blend.
Morning, how are you?
Good. How are you doing?
Man, I'm just trying to digest everything. But you know something? Idea. You know, many times we have persons in high position, permanent secretaries, CEOs, and general managers. They make decisions, right? And you know it could be liable to the government. And I think we need the legislation law where the permanent secretary, CEOs of these corporations, they'll be liable, not the public purse. Because many times we have decisions made by CEOs and executives, and guess who have to pay for it, my brother? The public. They go to court and they win, 200 million, 5 million, whatever. We need the legislation law where the CEO, the general manager, whatever corporation, government is there, they are liable to the decisions that they make. You see? So now they will not be subject to any minister or anybody to say, hey, you must do that. No, you, by the new law, you're liable, and any decision you make, the money's going to come out of your pocket. That's what we need to do in this country. For so long, the public and us behemoths have been paying for nonsense, right? For mistakes. And we got to cough it up. No. Whoever's coming in, whoever's campaigning, you need to campaign, and we bring new legislation where the manager, director, the whatever, whoever they are in charge, they will be accountable by law, and the money will not come from the Treasury. It's too many times we're messing up this country, and they're making the bad decision. If this lady go before the court, and at the end of the day, suppose she win $2 million. Where it comes from? Me in your pocket. So, hey, CEOs who listen to me this morning, if I have to change the law, you'll be liable. So whatever decision you make, you matter. Either you put it in writing that it's not your decision, or you resign, because the money will be coming out of your pocket and not the Bahamian people. Thank you.
Thanks. There was a plan on the table for a new hospital, public hospital. It was a PPP. Now that I'm thinking back, the former administration, the African administration, and it was to be built by one of our great Bahamians who's living overseas in the States, a great Bahamian mine, and he's also some top contractor or something, right?
Right.
I forgot the details of, you know what I'm talking about, right?
I mean, people, like I say, there's been conversations about new hospitals all the time.
But they were literally, I think they had almost signed on the dotted line on this deal.
I wonder what went wrong.
It was going to be funded. Well, the government changed, and there again, in lies one of our problems, right?
It's one of the more frustrating things with the way we operate. Like I remember, and it happens all the time, but urban renewal is always the one that sticks out to me, right? It's like you have a program that is very impactful, doing very well, and then because it's not your initiative, when the administration changes, then it's kind of like it just becomes something else completely, or it just shutters and it goes away. And it's just like, why can't we just say, that was a good idea, let's keep it going?
Right.
Like, why can't there be things that cross party lines that said, this is just a sensible thing to do, let's keep doing it?
Why? Why can't we say it? Why,
anyway,
why can't we?
I found Article 29 or Section 29 of the Act is talking about termination of employment, but that person
what was that about?
I still don't know. I still don't know what they were getting at.
Yeah, I don't know what they're getting at either. You might have the wrong section, Texter.
It might be. But I know the following section goes to summary dismissal, and things like breach of contract being one of the reasons why people will be able to be summarily dismissed. I don't know if that's what they were getting at.
Maybe.
I'm trying to insinuate based on just what comes next after that particular part of the act, but yeah.
We getting close. Callers, call back on the other side of the news. We'll read some more text messages as well on the other side. Stick with us. Morning Blend will be right back.
Wake up, it's a new day. It's the start of a new way. Don't you know that it's the start of the end of the old way. Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, streaming on GuardianTalkRadio.com and the Guardian Radio app. Nassau, Bahamas.
It's time for your final look at this morning's weather, brought to you by Sherwin-Williams Paints. Your general situation: a frontal trough is slowly drifting northward across the central Bahamas. The system, along with upper-level troughing and moisture from the Gulf, is generating shower activity across islands north of the front. Meanwhile, high pressure is maintaining gentle winds across the country. The surface to mid-level trough will continue to produce shower activity across the northern, northwest, and portions of the central Bahamas through late Saturday morning, before a stable air mass moves in, supporting drier conditions to conclude the week. The next cold front is expected to move into the northern Bahamas by early next week, producing strong winds, rough seas, and cooler temperatures. In special weather notes, beachgoers and swimmers across all areas are advised to exercise caution along all Atlantic exposed beaches, as there is a moderate risk of rip currents. Due to the full moon, residents should be alert for flooding along banks, marshes, and coastal areas during high tide. For the northern Bahamas, weather cloudy, a 10 to 20% chance of isolated showers, winds east to southeast at 10 knots or less, falling light and variable at times. Your high temperature 81 degrees Fahrenheit, your low 73 degrees Fahrenheit. For the northwest Bahamas, weather cloudy, a 20 to 30% chance of showers or an isolated thunderstorm. Winds southeast to south at 10 knots or less, falling light and variable at times. Your high 81 degrees Fahrenheit, your low 73 degrees Fahrenheit. For the central Bahamas, weather partly sunny today, becoming fair tonight, a 10 to 20% chance of showers. Winds southeasterly at 10 knots or less, falling light and variable at times. Your high 81 degrees Fahrenheit, your low 73 degrees Fahrenheit. For the southeast Bahamas, weather partly sunny today, fair tonight, a 10 to 20% chance of showers. Winds east to southeast at 10 to 15 knots or less, falling light and variable at times. High temperature 81 degrees Fahrenheit, your low 73 degrees Fahrenheit. The tropical weather outlook: no tropical cyclone formation is expected during the next 7 days. In your extended outlook for tomorrow, a mix of sun and clouds, a 20% chance of isolated showers. Elsewhere, that's in the northern and northwest Bahamas. Elsewhere, a 10% chance of showers. Winds northern and northwest. Winds in the northern and northwest Bahamas, light and variable at 10 knots or less. In the central and southeast Bahamas, southeast to south at 10 knots or less. Your high temperature outlook: 86 degrees Fahrenheit, your low 76 degrees Fahrenheit. And in your forecast for Sunday, for all areas, partly sunny, a 10 to 20% chance of isolated showers. Winds northern for the northern and northwest Bahamas, light and variable at 10 knots or less. For the central and southeast Bahamas, southeasterly at 10 knots or less. You're looking at 86 degrees for your high and 76 degrees Fahrenheit for your low. That's your weather, brought to you by Sherwin-Williams Paints. Sherwin-Williams, you're ready to refresh your space? Head to your local Sherwin-Williams for premium paint, pro tips, and everyday deals that make it easy to get started. Here's a look at traffic brought to you by RBC Royal Bank. This segment of Morning Blend brought to you by RBC. With RBC, reaching your goals happens here. Also brought to you by NUA Insurance Agents and Brokers. Let's look up traffic across the island now. Of course, a mile above the highway. Backed up to Fire Trail Road, but doesn't look like too much traffic past Fire Trail Road. So moving there for you at the moment. Lassen Road, a little thick there just before the hill to go down to JFK. You got some backup on JFK there at the intersection. But it's flowing for you. Some traffic there in Go Slow Bend. As you come around the bend, you're going to meet some cars there, so take your time. Blue Hill Road, as you approach the roundabout at Tony Williams Darling Highway and the Baked Chicken, you will meet some traffic as you get to the hill and get over the hill. It looks like from Carmichael Road on past Soldier Road, it is moving a little bit. Traffic tight between Blue Hill Road and East Street in the eastbound lane. Some traffic there as well in the westbound lane. Those seem to be your hot spots for the moment. Traffic on East Bay seems to be moving, flowing by Fox Hill Road on the Eastern Road there. Yep, those are your hot spots. Brought to you by RBC. This segment of Morning Blend brought to you by RBC. With RBC, your ideas happen here. And brought to you by NUA Agents and Brokers. This traffic update is brought to you by NUA Insurance Agents and Brokers, your partner for smart motor insurance and advice that puts you first. Whether you're at home or on the go, getting an instant motor quote is easy. Call us, visit your nearest branch, or log in at any time at nuainsurance.com.
Try to rest, roll with the best. For all your printing needs, there ain't no one better, no. For posters and banners, magazines and flyers, for window decals, greeting cards and newsletters. No job too big and there's no job too small. You name it, we can print it. Just give us a call. Let Print Masters bring your masterpiece to life.
Located in the Nassau Guardian Building, telephone 302-2361.
Mom, the Christmas cookies are ready. Leave them right here under the tree for
Santa or for CIBC Caribbean? 'Tis the season for dreams to come true. Whether it's a house, land, vehicle, or upgrading your home, CIBC Caribbean can support your dreams with the financing you need. Enjoy incredible cashback deals with mortgages and land loans. Plus, your approved loan gives you a chance to win up to US $5,000. Apply now at www.cibccaribbean.com/sweeten the season. Terms and conditions apply.
In the world of business, technology is not a choice, it's a necessity. And for businesses that demand excellence, there's only one choice for unparalleled support and cutting-edge technology. Custom Computers. You have challenges and we have solutions. Computing, networking, storage, and printing for enterprises large and small, aligned with premium brands like HP, Microsoft, Konica Minolta, and more. Get tech done the right way with Custom Computers. Call the know-how team at 396-1101.
Some people come and go. Others work for you every single day, whether through free classes for students or programs for the elderly. We've been building Golden Isles for years, while others waited for their time to shine. I'm Brian Brown, and I know it is something you earned. On November 24th, vote F&M, because this time around, we're going with Brian Brown.
Paid for by the Free National Movement.
No one likes a fender bender.
Oh, man.
From a little scratch to a full mashup, NUA got you covered with auto insurance tailored to fit your needs and budget. For affordable rates with free on-site accident assistance, visit us online or in branch and just ask us. NUA Insurance. Ask us because we've got you covered.
Step inside the John Baptiste Jazz Club at Baha Mar, where the rhythm of the islands of the Bahamas meets the soul of New Orleans. Every night, the lights dim, the music swells, and the air fills with that unmistakable energy, the kind that makes you close your eyes and just feel. Savor signature cocktails, curated small plates, and live performances from world-class musicians, all in an intimate, artfully designed space where every seat has a story. Whether it's a romantic night out or a spontaneous evening with friends, this is where you want to be. The John Baptiste Jazz Club, only at Baha Mar. Reserve your table now at bahamar.com/jazz club or through the Baha Mar app, because every evening plays its own tune.
Looking for insurance that fits your lifestyle and your budget? At Star General Insurance, we've got you covered. Whether it's motor insurance with flexible options for third-party liability and comprehensive coverage, or commercial insurance products that protect your business, we have choices you can afford. Own a home or renting? Our home insurance products have just what you need. And for the adventurers out there, we offer marine insurance too. Visit our website or social media pages for contact information and quotes. Star General, insurance made simple.
Screws and Fasteners World, Balfour Avenue and Palm Beach Street, has those hard-to-find fasteners for you right now. You can find stainless steel regular hex, carriage bolts, galvanized bolts, threaded rods, nails, self-tap screws, sex bolts, anchor bolts, turnbuckles, masonry tools, hand tools, and weed whacker strings. Check out the rope selection and car body fasteners, too. Special orders are welcome. It's your #1 fastener store. Screws and Fasteners World, Balfour Avenue and Palm Beach Streets. Call 326-1976.
Hard work and opportunity are the keys to success. I started as a packing boy, a bus boy, and a space cleaner. Now, I'm a businessman and a lawyer. As chairman of BAIC, I focus on creating new opportunities for Bahamian entrepreneurs and farmers. I'm Darren Pickstock, candidate for the PLP in Golden Isles. It would be an honor to work hard for Golden Isles and help with concerns big and small. Let's work together to create new pathways to security and success for more Bahamians.
This has been a paid announcement by the Progressive Liberal Party.
Mommy, are you renting to Santa too?
You have Santa. I have CIBC Caribbean.
CIBC has sweetened the season so you can bring your holiday dreams to life and wrap a new home or land with incredible cashback deals. Plus, your approved loan gives you a chance to win up to US $5,000. Apply now at www.cibccaribbean.com/sweeten the season. Terms and conditions apply.
Here's the sure-winning art store moment from Shelley and Dee Dee.
We're the only full art store in the Bahamas. If we don't have it, we make a list, and trust me, our boss can get that. If you need that, he can get that. You can find sketchbooks, acrylics, the canvases in all sizes, stencils. We have the Angelus that they use on shoes and letters. We're the only persons in Nassau that carries the Montana spray. We have the Krylon sprays, watercolor and paints, the oil, chalk paints, the alcohol paint, metallic paints, the little Floetrol, and we have cleaning products for the artists, thinning products for the artists, and Crayola colors, and glitters, pencils, the Posca markers, and pastels, oil, and the acrylic pastels, dyes. Oh yeah. We also have airbrush paint. I didn't forget that part of the movie. Gift sets, hobby craft,
Oil, shrimp, stew, shrimp gumbo. But art supplies. We have a lot of them. Sherwin-Williams Art Store. Find colour in every day.
Are you searching for something new? Something exciting? Your dream job in paradise? Well, look no further. Royal Beach Club Paradise Island is hiring. Join a dynamic group of passionate hospitality professionals, craft unforgettable moments, and thrive in a vibrant, welcoming atmosphere. play your part in shaping the future of our team while growing your own career every day. Bring your energy, your passion, and your creativity to a workplace that's as dynamic and fun as you are. At Royal Beach Club Paradise Island, the opportunities don't just exist. They're limitless. So are you ready to find your perfect fit? Visit Royal Beach Club at paradiseisland.com/career today and step into a world of exciting possibilities.
KB and Sting, coming with the Bohemian Ting. Come on. Woo! Oh, yeah. Yes.
Eyes are bang. Are we back it? Welcome back to Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96 Boroughs. And we're continuing our conversation about the nurse suspended over a viral video.
I have a question.
Did it go viral?
Listen. You must know. Because I'm like, so...
Did it go viral?
Did it really go viral? I understand that I sometimes live under a rock. Because I can't say that I've seen the video, right?
Okay.
And so I'm like, okay, am I just like in this corner where this just wouldn't have come, like it wouldn't end up in my feed, or is it that we going a little bit too far and calling it actually viral? Yeah. That was my question.
And it was like it came out.
Typically you would see it everywhere. Like I would see it in this group chat and that group chat, and I don't recall seeing it.
Right. It was picked up by Dr. Dwayne Sands, who commented on it, and then maybe that sent it into other spaces. But when you talk about like organically viral, I don't know if it was
especially because when people are saying like she wasn't particularly like aggressive or nasty in her commentary, so it's like that's probably why because we like when it's messy, right?
Exactly.
We like it when it's really messy.
What a time. Let's read some more text messages. Okay, let's see. The only way this country will get better if we vote both FNM and PLP out of power at the same time.
Who are you voting in?
I don't know. This person says, our hospital doesn't work, so instead of fixing it, they decide to build a new one. Not even, though.
Not even, because what they're building is not going to service everyone. Yeah. I think it's OBS and gynae and pediatrics, right?
Yeah, it's a specialty hospital. Electricity doesn't work in Eleuthero, so they decide to build a new power plant. Well, that one makes sense. Both of these are years down the road, so what do we do in the meantime? Well, that's the big question, right? This person says, I went to the passport office. Oh boy, where's this going? I went to the passport office, road traffic on Carmichael Road, and the gun license department, and all of them look like a dump. Okay.
Well, understand, like especially when you talk about the mold issues, that has been a complaint about a number of different government offices and facilities over. Again, that's another one for a long time.
Yeah. You know what should be done, Chester? The public needs to get together, take a copy of the transcript of that video, and do a video with the same information to the Prime Minister. He will have to act then once all of the Bahamas is asking him to react. One thing we have not learned is how to get together. Let governments comply to our demands. Well, you're right about that. We don't know how to get together. That's because we divided down a couple lines and don't seem to want to change that. Chester, it's all one big ping pong game. Every election time, they promise you the moon, sun. Whose sun now? There's S-O-N here. They promise you the moon, sun, and stars, and then get vote out and scratch what was in place. There was never any intention to build a new hospital. Do you remember the video of the Prime Minister and doctor pretending to shovel dirt? What is the progress on that project?
Is that the one for the specialty
talking
hospital?
About the specialty hospital?
They had groundbreaking?
Yeah, they did.
On the swamp land?
Yeah. Remember when Clint Watson did an expose into PMH? Now he's a potential candidate for the PLP. Hospital still in disrepair, but Watson ain't checking no more.
Oh boy, our people ain't easy, you know.
Not at
But
all.
You know the problem is like we'll turn it into a joke rather than collectively go and find a way to actually do something
And
about
I
it.
don't know if you well, the nurse did something she thought
She
was
did.
helpful. Good morning, Chester. What is so sad? We Bahamians pay for health care for the politician, and we can't get health care for ourselves and loved ones. Let's try to take some of your calls. Yeah. Good morning, caller. Welcome to Morning Blend.
All it is Strachan Weiss along with you and your guest, Chester.
Brayman, how you doing?
I'm right here holding. Who may your guest be?
Morning, Alexis
Sir,
Burrows.
Sir Alexis Burrows.
Okay. Speaking of the sister, right, and the nurse, do you know whether or not she has blue around her hat?
No idea.
But anyhow, the thing is, the government or whosoever should pay her restitution for dragging her name or dragging her through the mud like that. You know, that's very nice. You know, and it's not good public relation. Just pay her restitution, and if she wants to go back on the job, then give her job back. But make sure pay her restitution, because whatsoever had been done to her was wrong, or was wrong, still wrong. Thank you for your time, Chester.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah,
Have a
for
good one.
For clarity, they didn't fire her. She's suspended.
Yeah, she's suspended. And I don't think she was dragged anywhere.
No.
This person says, this text message, proper behavior online is not breaking the law of the land. Don't go fully naked online publicly. Not sure what that means.
Hey, what?
Good morning. The caveat in this matter may be that the contractual obligation by the nurse in regard to bylaws, social media policies has been breached by the work environment conditions. She has good grounds for a lawsuit. I don't know. Let the lawyers talk about that. Morning. The only people offended by the nurse's post is the... What? Okay. I don't know what y'all talking about. You're bringing some other hospital into this. If I can walk in the hospital and see rats playing hopscotch as a patient, see the lack of supplies, is that confidential? If the public witnesses these things for themselves, I applaud the nurse for speaking up. These people in Parliament only seem to react when they are publicly embarrassed.
Now that's true though. Like the supplies issue is another thing that's known because you know people you can't get certain medications, you can't have a certain testing done because they out of reagent. Like so that is things that if you get services in the hospital, you would be aware that there are deficiencies in terms of like supplies and things like that as
and
well.
machinery.
It's the hopscotch for me. Yeah. Now we have rats nibbling on people in the bed, and we have rats playing hopscotch.
Interesting.
Is that in the new section? The critical.
I'm not sure where the hopscotch court is, to be honest. The question. This is another text. It's another text message. The question that has to be asked is whether employee policy aligns with the law, and what is the remedy for that. This is the remit of the Information Commissioner. Are companies in the Bahamas violating Bahamian law and calling it employee sales? There's a lot.
I mean,
you chunked a lot of things in there, but I'm not sure what they were saying.
Yeah, but that's the thing. I don't know that that's unique to us, right? Like anywhere you go in the world, you will have things about confidentiality. You will have things about how you use social media, what type of information you disseminate about your company or the organization that you work for. Like we can't just be out here saying anybody can go say anything. Like not that. Yes, there's freedom of speech, but also at the same time, if you are under contract with someone, you agree to abide by the policies outlined in your contract and in your agreement.
Right.
That is still lawful.
Yeah. Morning, can the government make it easier to pay traffic tickets? Going to the court on Nassau Street is terrible. There you have it, government. Please make it easier for people to pay traffic tickets. And you might make some more money. And people will stop getting arrested on the street for violating the traffic ticket thing. Let's take this other call. Good morning, caller. Welcome to Morning Blend. Caller, you there? No. Good morning, caller. Welcome to Morning Blend. No caller there either. Caller, you there? Good morning. Okay, no. Line that just came in then. Good morning, caller. Welcome to Morning Blend.
Good morning.
Hey, good morning.
Morning.
So I was calling to see if I could contribute to the conversation about Nurse Williams.
Yes, please do. We're listening.
Hello?
You're live. We're listening.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much. So I'm calling, first of all, I'm calling all the way from Georgia.
Oh, wow.
And I've known Nurse Williams for a long time. I worked with her. And she was always a credible person, professional, and she always contributed to the profession of nursing. So her cry or her plea, I would stand and agree with her. Despite the policy, I think she was genuine in her cry and what she wanted to say. And I don't think she did it in any type of malice to make administration look bad. But I think she did it as a nurse who is concerned for the health of the patients she cared for. And I think that even after this, other persons should be encouraged to also speak out and to also speak about things that they see that are wrong. Maybe not through social media, because that would be against their policies. But I think the union, the nurses union, has done this before, have come out and speak against how the conditions aren't workable, they aren't favorable, the patients are suffering. The nursing union does this all the time. So I don't think that she did anything wrong in the sight of like disrespecting administration.
Mm.
So I think that
when you worked with her,
she did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I worked with her.
At PMH?
Yes, I worked with her.
What was your experience like at PMH?
As a student nurse, I worked with her, and she, if I say my name, she would know who I is. And my experience at PMH was always the fact that we as nurses always wanted the best for our patients. Now, I'm not going to try to say that I had a bad experience or whatever the case may be, but at the end of the day, we always cared for the patients who came to us, and we did our best. And even if it means speaking out for them, when they don't have a voice, that was what we did. Because in nursing school, they taught us that nurses should be the advocate for their patients. And that was one thing that we held dear to our profession, to be advocates for our patients. And I think she's just going according to the profession, being an advocate for her patients. I don't think she did anything wrong.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Thank you for calling in all the way from Georgia. Let's try to take another call. Good morning, caller. Welcome to Morning Blend. No call. Good morning, caller. Welcome to Morning Blend.
Good morning. I'm just calling to get the answer correct. If no one has gotten it right?
No, nobody.
Already?
No, nobody's gotten it.
Is it Rihanna?
No, I don't think so. But thank you for calling.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, if you're listening to the Guardian Radio 96.9, I don't know what you're talking about.
That was actually
okay.
That's pretty funny.
Some more text messages. Morning. This person says, okay, that crew can afford to hop to Florida. What are we talking about? Oh, I see what this person is saying. They say the only people offended by the nurse's post is the. Oh, okay. I don't know what hospital them people went to. They said the foreign hospital crew. Whoever goes to the foreign hospitals when they need medical attention, but they call a hospital name. This person says, we take social media too serious. We have the public enraged over a photos Defense Force officer posted on his personal page. We make big deals over everything. We take it too serious.
As in, you watch it too hard? I'm not sure what the photo of the Defense Force officer is.
Public enrage. Okay, all right. This text says the answer was Beyonce, duh. Maybe it was. I don't know. I don't know what that was about. Let's take another call before we get to go. Good morning, caller. Welcome to Morning Blend. No caller there. Good morning, caller. Welcome to Morning Blend. Caller, you there? No?
I guess I was trying to find the right answer.
Yeah. Maybe the lines mix up or something. I mean, I would love to know what the question was.
I know, right?
Yeah. So it's interesting that people on both sides of this here.
Yeah.
But you brought up the perfect point. The point is, what are we going to do about PMH?
This is the challenge when we get into conversations about a story like this. You get so much into the policy, the suspension, who is saying what, who's using it for political leverage, yada yada yada. And it's like, okay, at the end of the day, what are we doing to fix the hospital? That's what it is. Because we have more and more people that are in need of use of the public healthcare system every day. Life is hard. People are struggling financially. You have a lot of people now there are a lot less people who can afford insurance. There's a lot less people who can afford private healthcare. And so you have more and more people coming into the public system, right? And that's not to talk about when you bring in the immigration challenges and things like that, where you have, an inordinate number of people that you can't account for as well that are taking use of the system. When you take all that into account, what are we doing to make the actual space safer for patients, for staff members, for family members who come to visit patients, for anyone who has to visit into the hospital? Because at the end of the day, that is a critically important thing.
Right.
The rest of this is just noise in the market. What's actually being done to fix the hospital? Or are we going to go another 20 years of ping pong?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. This texter says, I am saying no company can implement a policy that contravenes the law of the land. If the data usage policy says the consumer must know how their collected information will be used, labor laws say you must be paid overtime for hours worked in excess of 8 hours per day. Regulatory policy says companies can't capture info off credit cards. Companies cannot write a policy under the belief that a communicated policy allows them to ignore the law.
I think I need.
Maybe are you talking about?
I don't know.
The Freedom of Information Act law.
I feel
is
like
that what we're talking about?
I need to plug into the matrix to understand.
They started saying the policy. The question that has to be asked is whether employee policy aligns with the law.
Yeah, but they started talking about a lot of things. Is not like it doesn't connect.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, I don't know what. Okay, cool. This person says, instead of punishing the nurse, why not take her advice? Obviously, the nurse had no idea of how to voice her concerns, so she took the method that forced them to listen.
I mean, not even what Grammy Boy say.
I mean, that's true.
Grammy Boy said that they went to the minister, they went to the former minister.
Yeah, he went to Dr. MacGyver, who is running, right? Isn't she a candidate for the COI?
Okay, so the problem I have with when he said Dr. MacGyver was, I'm thinking like duct tape and rubber bands.
Oh,
I'm sorry. Like
you went back to the show.
Yeah, because I don't know who Dr. MacGyver is.
Oh, okay. I think Dr. MacGyver is a candidate for COI. Let's try to squeeze in this last call.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Good morning, caller. Welcome to Morning Blend.
Hey, Just how you doing?
Good. How's it going?
You know that this problem we have to stop passing the buck. This problem, Dr. Menace, Dr. Ian Sands, now we all have to come together and do something. But the hospital, we come together to do anything else. We come together to protest against the government. Let's come together and fix the hospital. Another thing, right? When we go to I used to work with foreign companies. Now, when you breach the law, you know what you got to do. Pack up your head kit and split. Now, government, we all got to start falling in line and doing what we're supposed to do. Because when we come to the U.S. Embassy, we fall in line. When we fall in line, that's all I got to say.
All right, thank you. I appreciate that. That's I think that's our show for the morning. That's Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9. Up next is Guardian Business. So stick with us. We're talking with Gamal Nouri. Should be an interesting conversation.
Hair and born and bred. I don't want to live nowhere else, even when I dead. I's a Bahamian, and I always late. If you want me there by 9, better tell me come 8. See, I's a Bahamian, and I don't like say nobody babe. Yes, I's a Bahamian. Don't want to make no fuss, but if you bring
Bahamian families, mark your calendars. On Sunday, November 23rd from 6 to 8 p.m. at the British Colonial Hilton. Meet 13 of Canada's top CAIS accredited boarding schools. Join our schools for a casual yet informative Canadian reception directly following the Betty Walker Fair. Discover how CAIS boarding schools offer small classes, personalized support, and a safe, inclusive community that prepares students for success at top global universities. Don't miss it. Sunday, November 23rd from 6 to 8 p.m. at the British Colonial Hilton.
No one likes a fender bender.
Oh, man.
From a little scratch to a full mashup, NUA Insurance has got you covered with auto insurance tailored to fit your needs and budget. For affordable rates with free on-site accident assistance, visit us online or in branch and just ask us. NUA Insurance. Ask us because we've got you covered.
Don't wait for us. Stock up on hurricane supplies, make home repairs, purchase a generator, and more this hurricane season with a Fidelity personal loan. Make that move today. Call 356-7764.
Fidelity, we're good for you.
Tired of banks forcing you to use technology to bank the way they want you to? Your convenience is important. So no matter what your banking needs, Commonwealth Bank's friendly staff are always available in branch for that personal one-on-one service. But when you choose technology, our online and mobile banking app offers you state-of-the-art functionality. The choice is yours. Commonwealth Bank. Bank the way you want.
Hard work and opportunity are the keys to success. I started as a packing boy, a bus boy, and a space cleaner. Now, I'm a businessman and a lawyer. As chairman of BAIC, I focus on creating new opportunities for Bahamian entrepreneurs and farmers. I'm Darren Pickstock, candidate for the PLP. It would be an honor to work hard for Golden Isles and help with concerns big and small. Let's work together to create new pathways to security and success for more Bahamians.
This has been a paid announcement by the Progressive Liberal Party.
Ladies, get ready. The premier women's empowerment event of the year is here. Inspire Her 2025. Join us November 20th at the Bahamar Convention Center for a transformational experience featuring Emmy Award-winning Tabitha Brown and first female CEO of BET, Deborah Lee. Gain powerful insights, build meaningful connections, and walk away with strategies to elevate your career and life. Tickets available now. Get yours on the Alive Events app before it's too late. Don't miss Inspire Her.
Looking for the perfect Sunday outing? The National Art Gallery of the Bahamas is now open and free to all Bahamian citizens and residents. Spend the day admiring the evolution of Bahamian art. Soak in the natural beauty of our art park and take a little piece of culture home with you by browsing our gift shop. Whether you're an art lover or just curious, we've got something here for everyone. Bring your family, your partner, or your friends and let the art inspire you this Sunday and beyond. The National Art Gallery Gallery of the Bahamas, our home for Bahamian art.
Craving something with bold flavors? Introducing the new Bacon Portobello Mushroom Melt, only at Wendy's. Enjoy our hot, juicy beef stacked with crispy applewood smoked bacon, savory sauteed portobello mushrooms, and drenched in our rich, melty cheddar cheese sauce, all on a warm, toasted bun. Gotta be craveable, gotta be Wendy's. Available for a limited time only.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, streaming on GuardianTalkRadio.com and the Guardian Radio app, Nassau, Bahamas.
Good morning. Welcome to Morning Blend Business here on Guardian Radio 96.9. I'm Chester Robards along with Alexis Burrows. And it is time for our series with Gamal Nouri. And I think we have him, and preventative measures, I think we have him on with us. Good morning, Gamal. You there?
Hey, good morning, Chester. Good morning, Bahamas.
Good morning. How you been?
I've been ready, yes, sir.
Excellent.
Keep it going, rolling with the punches.
And
how about yourself?
Doing good. And
Great.
I think you got a timely topic here, I guess, as we, I'm going to say as we wind down the hurricane season.
Right.
Hopefully.
Hopefully.
Okay. With God's good graces, we won't see anything.
About 20 more days to go.
Yeah.
So that's so much across elbows and eyebrows.
Yeah, absolutely. We're talking about emergency response management. Emergency response management. Is that something that the individual needs to think about? Something that companies need to think about? Everybody needs to think about that.
Yeah, definitely. Everyone needs to think about that and what resources, what assets they need to protect, and what resources they have to safeguard those assets. And this is very, I guess, when you look at the whole dynamic of business continuity, emergency management, then there's crisis management, then there's disaster management, and there are three distinct phases of managing an incident and ensuring that your business or your property or yourself, you survive that incident. And so the emergency management aspect of it is the first component part of it, making sure that, hey, if there is an emergency, how do we respond? How do we ensure that we can survive that immediate threat, immediate risk?
Right. And you ask an interesting question, evacuation or shelter in place. So we saw recently in Hurricane Melissa that there was an evacuation order for the islands that were going to be affected. And of course, it was a mandatory evacuation order. Some people may have, ignored it. But even if there wasn't an evacuation order, when you say evacuate or shelter in place, how do you even decide to make that decision? I mean, I'm sure for some people it's clear and present that they should evacuate, but how do you even start to think about that?
Right, and that's exactly what what brought up the conversation. You see that you get the word mandatory. Mandatory meaning that you are required to, but again, you can't make me. That's just what it is.
Yeah.
I still have that decision. I still have that fundamental constitutional right to move wherever I want to move. Mind you, I have to also appreciate that it is at my own risk. Nevertheless, mandatory is an interesting word because how much power does it carry?
Right.
If I decide that no, I'm gonna stay, I'm gonna ride out the storm per se, it's a very interesting thing. The concern is that as we see the increase in storms and the severity of storms throughout the region, how does a country like the Bahamas manage an evacuation order, and is that the best option? when, in my opinion, I'd say this is my opinion, how are we building resilience? How are we ensuring or doing more to improve, or enforce building codes, to enforce, to build fortifiings? These things are important. That's where you get the decision, or bet to be in a position to make a better decision about sheltering in place. If the structure has been properly built, if the structure is elevated, if we have good drainage, if we're fortifying our coastlines, then are we in a better position to shelter in place as opposed to moving all of our belongings to another island and having to wait again for that transport back to our home island? So there's a lot of things that are involved in evacuating a person, especially if the government takes it on.
Yeah.
Especially if the government takes on that mandate. That's a lot of money involved.
Yeah, because I think the question that comes up with that, even kind of just tangentially related back to our conversation earlier, like you have a lot of people that are struggling financially. So when you say it's a mandatory evacuation, is that coming with you paying for me to evacuate? Because we're not like, so for example, like the US, right? If you ask someone to evacuate, in a lot of ways, they can hop in their car and they can drive to a neighboring state. They could drive 2 or 3 states to the west, to the north, whatever it may need to be in order to get out of the path of the storm, right? But for us, it's, especially if you're taking your belongings with you, it's how much ever it takes to put all your stuff on the boat. It's potentially to be somewhere for a couple of days, a week, 2 weeks. Like the financial implications of that also come into play because a lot of people are not financially in a position. We know many of our Bahamians live paycheck to paycheck. So when from that standpoint, how do you then navigate that to say, okay, you must evacuate, but I don't have the money to evacuate. I got to stay and ride this out.
Mm-hmm.
And you had a very important point. It boils down to the finances, because when the government or a business, because especially offshore banks, they have an evacuation policy. If there's a certain threshold for a hurricane,
right,
they would evacuate key stakeholders out. Now, when I come and get you, then it is on me totally to put you up for the time period that I've taken you out. And this is where the dynamic gets very, very challenging, because you brought up a good comparison. In the U.S., you hear evacuation. So mandatory evacuation means for someone in a country like that, you get in your car, you stock up on what you need, and you go where you think you need to go. And that burden of staying, or the time period, that remains with the individual.
Correct.
When the government decides, or a government, and because it isn't just unique to the Bahamas, but when a government decides that we're going to evacuate a citizen from an area of threat, and we come and get you, because again, mandatory, we're telling you we're coming to get you, then that burden, or the financial burden of sustaining that individual, is on the government. And this is where we have to be careful. Are we doing enough to minimize the burden on the government on a short term versus, hey, what is government doing? What is the individual doing to ensure that their home or their premises is built or fortified to withstand a certain threshold? And this is where the discussion needs to be taken as we see more, this trend of evacuating individuals.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it becomes an enforcement of policy type of thing too, right? You talked about the building codes, right? So it's one thing for me to say, hey, like, I know my house is strong, but who was given the stamp of approval to say that this is up to code, and therefore, and then with the changes in how storms behave, my house could have been able to withstand a Cat 4. That means it could withstand these Cat 4s nowadays in 2025, right? And so there's also that concern as well. And we know people have a natural inclination. They want to stay. They want to manage it themselves. They want to say, well, I can see what's happening in my home to protect or to preserve. And I think there's also that part of it. If you've invested a big chunk of your life's work and savings into the place that you call home, this is the difficulty that people have with even saying evacuating in the first place. It's like, I want to make sure that I know what's happening with my own place and be able to do as much as I can to preserve what I've invested so much time, money, blood, sweat, and tears into.
Correct. And this is, again, to the point you talk about policy. I think that there's a need to revise codes, especially homes that are on the coastline. And I hesitate in saying that because I'm of the opinion that every home in the Bahamas is on the coastline, regardless of where you are. You could be, unless you're someplace like in Andros where there's quite a bit of space between you and the coast. I think every home, regardless of where you are in the Bahamas, is a coastal home. But nevertheless, right, those persons directly on the coast, certain building codes need to be revised as it speaks to elevation, obviously the drainage systems. And this is why I'm saying, going back to Chester's comment, how does one make that decision whether to evacuate or shelter in place?
Right.
Has your home been fortified? Has infrastructure been reinforced and developed so that my decision is not just based on how I feel? I know that my home can withstand a certain cat level of storm. And let's be mindful as well. There's instances, and we've seen it in the past, where there are flash floods, where I remember there were incidents in Anagua where they were impacted by earthquakes. So where these incidents are not always announced. A hurricane is announced. We know June 1st, November 30th is hurricane season. We have technology now with forecasting. We can see a storm forming. We can watch it so everybody has a chance to prepare. That's one aspect. But when you have incidents where you have these fast-forming storms, flash floods, flash storms, how are we going to evacuate that person? So that's why we have to lean more on resilience, building resilience in our homes, in our communities, in our businesses, to ensure that when we get when those ones that are unannounced, and we don't have that time to prepare, we're able to survive that. And that's where the decision comes: shelter in place or evacuate. But I need to make sure that these things have been properly put in place so I can make a better decision, not on feeling, but on facts that exist.
Do you think Dorian has made people change their minds now about even fortified homes in Dorian that were inundated by water, right? So while the winds may not be able to topple your house, you have another threat that nobody really had seen ever, as far as I'm concerned, not in my lifetime, the type of water inundation that Dorian brought to the islands there.
I think that has an impact. But you know what? I'm glad you brought it up. I remember a conversation with an elder gentleman when I was doing some recovery work in Abaco, and the elderly gentleman in his 80s, you know what he said, Chester? You know what he said to me? And I smiled. He said, "The flooding is not a surprise." And I said, "Well, why do you say that? This is unusual." He said, "No." "Well, why do you think they call it Marsh Harbor?" What is marsh? And I looked at him and I could not say anything. All of my strategy and tactics were thrown out the window.
And sensibility out the window.
Yeah.
Exactly, because he said it was named Marsh Harbor because it is in a floodplain.
Yeah.
And I said, "Well, wow, so why haven't we built?" See, goes back to my point about building. Why haven't we built to these things? These nuances in our community, they are not new. This is why, if we go back in history and you study how we built out, this is why one of the reasons why New Providence was chosen as the capital as opposed to Eleuthera, where we have our initial primary settlements coming up. Don't forget, our first House of Parliament was in Eleuthera. But why did they move to New Providence? Because there was obviously a trend where when storms occurred, and we see that now. We see that now. Either they're going to pass to the south of New Providence or to the north of New Providence. That's been the trend, where you may have a one-up every 20, 30 years, but New Providence, because of its location, not that it's a better place. I don't want anybody from the Family Islands saying I throwing rocks at them, right? But it's just an anomaly based on how it's been positioned. We see that, but we ignore it.
It's just the geographics of it.
Exactly.
Yeah, but I do think, in agreement with Chester's point too, you look at the footage coming out of Melissa, where you had homes that were fully underwater, where basically only the roof was left above water. This is where we're seeing different types of storms, right? Like, we go back to Andrew, which I think is still the worst storm that New Providence has suffered through directly, right? And even with Andrew, we didn't necessarily see the type of imagery And maybe Andrew is more of a windstorm than a wet storm, because that also matters.
Right.
But I do think that what we're seeing with a lot more frequency is, storms like Dorian, storms like Melissa, things like that, where, even just long term, that used to be you would go 20, 30 years without seeing something like that, in succession. But I think we've had 3 or 4 major storms, Cat 4, Cat 5, impact different areas of the Bahamas within the last 5 years. That it's clustering different, it's more frequent, and I think that's where the concern now comes in. Was like, these are not the storms that we grew up on. People say this is not my grandparents' storms.
Yeah.
I think there's also that for consideration as a point. Like, how much does a storm like Dorian, a storm like Melissa, impact people's view on evacuation versus sheltering in place?
Right, and the impact is there because of the scenery, the imagery, the destruction that these storms bring. But again, we have to how much evacuation can we go, and how do we actually remove? If we were to really study the true science of evacuation, it is removal from the threat, and so and also the residual impact of it. So, for example, right. We move persons from the southern Bahamas and we take them to the central Bahamas. Have we actually removed persons from the immediate threat? Not necessarily, because if the storm takes a turn, it's a storm, the storm lingers. So all of these factors we have to take in place when we're considering evacuation. What is the threshold for evacuation? We saw the evacuation out of the southern Bahamas on a Cat 3. Is that the threshold, or is it a tropical depression, or is it a tropical storm? So these things need to be established so that, going back to the question, decision-making is formulated and it has some guidelines to work in, as opposed to how do we feel about this or how do we feel about that? What have we done to ensure or to make that decision-making more reliable based on facts, based on data, based on, again, building infrastructure, so that a home or a hurricane shelter is able to withstand this amount, and then we know we would evacuate if it's a Cat 3, if it's a Cat 4. Like I mentioned earlier, I have clients that I work with in regards to emergency evacuation, and usually the threshold is a Cat 3. Is a Cat 3, and then if it's a Cat 3, it is no discussion. We're going to get people up and out, but they're leaving the country, they're leaving the jurisdiction. They're not going from Exuma to Grand Bahama. They're leaving the jurisdiction completely. So any potential turn or change in the path of that storm, they're not still in harm's way. And this is really the concern. We're moving persons from one part of the Bahamas to the next part of the Bahamas. And are we actually, is it a realistic approach? And am I saying move them into another country? No, I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is let's look at this thing holistically, so that these decisions are based on more than just it's a good thing to do, it's the right thing to do, but is it the best thing to do is really the question.
No, but you raise a good point. So let's say hypothetically we're looking at a Cat 4 storm, and the projected path is basically every island in the Bahamas is going to get touched, and it's going to be at least a Cat 3 or higher. Are we evacuating the whole country? Are we evacuating the whole country? Yes. So then the question is, are we evacuating all 400,000 of us? Where we going? Right? Because that then becomes the question. And then also it's the aftermath, right? So I always tell people this just from an anecdotal standpoint. After Dorian, the traffic, because so many people that were displaced ended up staying. So I remember when just the school traffic changed overnight, because it went from clearly there's just a ton more people here. So it's also okay, you evacuate, right? But then what if there's nothing to go back to? Right? Because now wherever you're evacuating people into, now you're talking about added population density and all of the different challenges that come along with that. So it is a very robust and nuanced conversation to have, because it's the in the moment, but it's also what happens after.
Exactly. What happens after? If that location, you evacuated me from this location, and again, it falls on the government. In this particular model that we're using, it falls totally on the government, because now you have to place persons in schools. There's healthcare. There's all these other things. People now need to find work. All of these things impact that. And again, it isn't it's an inherent risk because we live in this country, but we have to do a bit more in developing policy and guidelines to ensure that I give you again another case in point. Japan built resilience because where they're going to go, and again, an earthquake isn't something that you can pre-plan. It's just going to happen.
Right.
So they built resilience. They built stronger buildings. They made sure that everybody in Japan, the citizens of Japan, went through various drills. They built proper shelters so that because they know that the risk is something that they had limited control over. With a hurricane, we have much more control over managing that Japan. So if the Japanese can do it, which requires discipline and foresight in disaster management and in disaster management, that if they can do that with an earthquake to build resilience, and there's no reason why the Bahamas over time, because we got to pay for this. I'm not saying we're going to do this overnight or by the next hurricane season, but it needs to be a strategic plan that shows, hey, over the next 20 years, we're going to make sure that homes are built to this particular code. We're going to make sure that we move more to renewable energy, to solar, because if we lose power, how fast can BPL recover the power in these communities? But if we have solar power or we have other renewable energy sources, people can get power grids back up. So all these little nuances have to be looked at if we're looking at a comprehensive disaster management program for the country in 2025. It's no longer 1972.
Yeah.
It's 2025, and there's technology, there are practices, there are strategies that we can copy, paste, amend, adjust, that can make us more resilient. And that's what I'm trying to push here, more resilience than so much a reactive or an emergency event or practice like an evacuation.
Right. And both of you mentioned a hurricane, the potential for a hurricane that comes through the entire archipelago. 20-year plan, but we should have already started this, a long time ago.
Even if you think of his reference of Francis, that should have been an indication like we need to have a plan for if we have something like this, especially if it's a stronger storm, because we're seeing more consistent, stronger storms.
Correct.
Then you need that. That should have been something where we were starting to plan for that from the minute Francis left.
Well, we 6 years past Dorian, right? And the government at the time talked about shelters. We understood the need then for stronger shelters that people can use. We got one so far,
and I don't think it's completed yet. 6 years later, right?
So,
we have one,
and it has a ton of windows.
Does it have the capacity to take? This is again to your question earlier, Jess. You talked about is it something that the individual some of that burden has to be placed on the individual. The government can't take on everything.
Right.
It can't be the government is the savior of the world. No, that's not realistic. It's unsustainable.
Yeah.
So the government says to the builder, you're going to be building a house. Okay, we're going to give you some concessions on our hurricane impact windows. We're going to give you some concessions on this is how you need to build it. It needs to be elevated 3, 4, 5 feet off of the ground before you even start the main structure. And that's government giving that person that responsibility. Okay, we reduce duty or we remove duty if you're building this particular code. Government can't take it on. An individual can't take it on. Like I said, with clients that I've had, right, when they factor out the billing for moving their key persons, and again, it isn't all the staff either, by the way. It's only the person who they figure are going to help continue the operation. So the cost jumps tremendously. Because you got to put them up. They can't leave their family. They got to care their family with them as well. So now, if it's 10 people, multiply that by each person having 4 additional persons to go with them. So now you're going up to now at least 50 people to evacuate and put them up in a facility, room, board, all of those things. So the costs escalate.
And then do we even have the space?
Yeah,
exactly.
Like just the geographical space to build enough shelters to account for something like what happened with Dorian.
Yeah.
But we do have the space for me as an individual to build a proper home. Me as a contractor, hey, you have to build a home. We have the space for that.
Yeah.
So that's again the shelter in place.
That's not to mention we have.
So this is where a strategy needs to be put in place long term that we now build resilience, not just getting Bahamas Air and other private jets and getting them into a location, getting them out. Where are the people going to stay?
Prevention is better than
We,
cure.
we're going to go to a quick break, and Morning Blend Business will return on the other side.
Attention RBC clients. To comply with regulatory requirements and to avoid service interruption, you need to update your information at your RBC branch. While you're there, enroll in RBC Digital to your accounts anytime, anywhere. Update your information and bank at your convenience with RBC Digital Banking today.
Southwest Plaza has so many stores, I've been trying to find a sensible way to list them all. There's CBS Bahamas, the Ashai Institute, BENC Snack World, Bamboo Shack Bahamas, there, the Athlete's Foot and BTC, Games and More, John Bull Fine Threads, Alive, Bahari, Dairy Queen, 700 Wines and Spirits, Sandy's Clarkson Island Luck, Starbucks and Lowe's Pharmacy, plus Marco's Pizza and Lorraine. Southwest Plaza, what a wide array of stores. Southwest Plaza, stop by today and explore.
Don't wait for a storm to arrive. Stock up on hurricane supplies, make home repairs, purchase a generator, and more this hurricane season with a Fidelity personal loan. Make that move today. Call 356-7764.
Fidelity, we're good for you.
If you come from the island, you know nothing is more important than family. I am Brian Brown, and the people of Golden Isles are my family. I'm proud to serve my neighbors and friends. I'm asking for your next MP. I believe in showing up all the time, not just election time. So on November 24th, vote F&M, because this time around, we are going with Brian Brown.
Paid for by the Free National Movement.
At RBC, your idea of getting more happens here with a no-fee loan. Share in up to $20,000 in cash prizes. Learn more at rbc.com/holiday loan.
It's time for your morning business report brought to you by CFAL. The Bahamas Taxi Cab Union President Tyrone Butler told Guardian Business yesterday that a portion of the 800 taxi plates that were recently recalled by the Ministry of Transport and Energy due to inactivity should be reallocated to the union. Butler said reallocating the plates would allow the BTCU to support the local market. He said, quote, if we were to get those plates, we would dedicate those specifically to the local market. We would bond them to be confined to a specific zone that they work or would work in. Minister of Energy and Transport JoBeth Kobe Davis told the media recently that the government wants the holders of nearly 800 taxi and livery plates that have been identified as inactive to come forward to bring their franchise plates up to date. And Doctors Hospital Chief Financial Officer Dennis DeVoe told Guardian Business yesterday that there is no extraordinary impairment in the company's latest 2025 financial report, adding that the hospital's financials are stable and it is completing its projects as normal. DeVoe was speaking out and clarifying misconceptions about the company's reported $55 million in trade receivables and $17 million, almost $18 million in expected credit. DeVoe said, first of all, there's no extraordinary impairment. There is a regular line item in our financial statements. As you know, all companies in our business have what's called a provision for credit losses, and the technocrats would say it's an expected credit loss. So it's a standard line in the financial statements for every company like ours. Nothing is extraordinary about it.
$18 million?
And Bahamian Marvin Colby, who's helping to revolutionize the way global financial services firms do their business, said yesterday that the Bahamas can supercharge its financial services sector through the strong foundations already built by its sophisticated legislation. Colby built an equity management and fundraising platform for African startups called Raise. That became so successful that another larger capital resource platform builder called Carta took over his platform and put Colby in the driver's seat to build systems for Africa, Asia, and the Middle East. Colby said the legal framework and institutions exist now that can leverage new and existing technology to catapult the Bahamas further ahead of its competition in financial services. The Bahamas Development Bank has already funded local businesses to the tune of $7 million this year and has developed several new initiatives to fund more projects in specific sectors. In international business, President Donald Trump is adjusting his messaging strategy to win over voters who are worried about the cost of living, with plans to emphasize new tax breaks and show progress in fighting inflation. The messaging is centered around affordability, and the push comes after inflation emerged as a major vulnerability for Trump and Republicans in Tuesday's election, in which voters overwhelmingly said the economy was their biggest concern. Democrats took advantage of concerns about affordability to run up huge margins in the New Jersey and Virginia governor races, flipping what had been a strength for Trump in the 2024 presidential election into a vulnerability going into next year's midterm elections. And stocks are off to a lower start on Wall Street and on track for their first weekly loss in the last four. The S&P 500 fell 0.5% in the early going Friday. The Dow Jones Industrial Average fell 174 points, or 0.4%, and the Nasdaq Composite fell 0.8%. Markets are reacting to the latest quarterly reports from U.S. companies. Payments company Block, which operates the Square and Cash App business, sank after turning in results that fell short of forecasts. Exercise equipment maker Peloton jumped after its Treasury yields moved higher in the bond market. That's your morning business report, brought to you by C-File, growing wealth for future generations. And we're back here with Morning Blend Business. I'm Chester Robards along with Alexis Burrows. We're talking with Gamal Nouri from Preventative Measures about emergency response management. We're having a great conversation about what we've been facing with storms over the last few years and what we might face, as well as what we should do and could do to put preventative measures in place. That's right, Gamal?
I like that, Chester. I like that.
Absolutely. Unfortunately, I do have to run a little early. Gamal, it's always a pleasure talking to you. Going to leave you in the capable hands of Alexis to continue this wonderful conversation. There are some text messages that came in you might want to look at. Have a great one and enjoy.
Good. Enjoy and be safe, Chester.
Thank you, sir.
Have a good one.
Oh, there's a good question coming in from one of our texters. Where would New Providence residents go if we ever had to evacuate? Because obviously, I think a lot of times when we have this conversation, people are looking at it from the standpoint of evacuating. But if New Providence was in the path of a Cat 5 like Dorian, if New Providence was in that path, where do New Providence residents go?
Right, and this goes to our point that we've been making. It has to be a comprehensive strategic approach, because where are New Providence residents going to go? This is where now the heavier lean on sheltering in place. It is hoped that the homes are built stronger, but exactly the point exactly. It has to be well thought out, because in some instances, the destination or the evacuation point may be actually in harm's way, and a population density like New Providence, can another island does another island have that capacity
Right.
to take on that? And I don't think they do. I could be wrong, but I don't think, is it practical? Do we have enough airlift to move persons to those locations? So capacity, airlift, we have to lean more on sheltering in place, building resilience for our communities to ensure that when we do have these severe instances, we people are able to actually stay at their location and manage themselves accordingly.
Yeah, so we can preserve life as far as possible.
Right, exactly.
And go ahead.
And then in that instance too, I'll let you. Sorry, just wanted to make another point. And in that instance too, for continuity, the main structure or central government now for New Providence, because this is the hub, they would need to now relocate and find an alternative site in the event New Providence is devastated. How do you coordinate the recovery efforts for New Providence if you are actually been impacted? So they would need to find, maybe go to Acklands or Inagua if they're not in the path. But do those locations have the infrastructure and capacity and facilities to manage a recovery for New Providence? So the dynamic is very broad, and it has to be thought out strategically.
Yeah, because the capacity question is a very good one, because I think 50-60% of the population of the country lives in New Providence. I think that's around the number.
Yep.
Yeah. So it's an interesting thing to consider. We do also have, you were talking about Japan earlier and just how unpredictable earthquakes can be. How much is there room for us to actually be better prepared? Because outside of them, we have freak storms where it pops up out of the clear blue sky. There's typically some advanced warning, to navigate these concerns, as opposed to places where they have to deal with things like earthquakes and tornadoes, which are a lot more unpredictable.
Yeah, yes, it does. It does put us in a better position when you look at the threat, when you know that the threat is in a particular season, a particular time of year. You have the technology for forecasting. We watch storms that are coming off the coast of Africa, coming from down south. So yes, we should be in a better position, and I think we are. I just don't think we're taking advantage of that fact. See, like I mentioned earlier, a hurricane. When you look at emergency management is an immediate, unexpected event. So if there's an explosion, if there's an earthquake, right, we shouldn't be treating a hurricane like an emergency event. We should be treating a hurricane like perhaps more a potential disaster or crisis event, but not be treating it like an emergency event.
Yeah, because
we know it's coming. We know the season. We know the time, and we can move persons. And we know what it does. We know what the traditional impacts are. Right. So we can reinforce coastlines. We can ensure that drainage systems are in place. So those types of things. So we can build resilience for that because we know what the dynamics of it.
And we also know with general accuracy if it's more of a wet storm, a drier storm, because that also impacts what we're looking at. We have a caller. Let's see, we got someone in on the phone lines. Caller, are you there?
Hello.
Morning. How are you?
Hello.
Yeah, can you talk?
Brother Kamal Nuri.
Morning.
Hello.
Yeah, how are you?
I like listening to you guys. I like how you brought up the scenario in which you said if a Cat 4+ would affect the whole island, how would they evacuate, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then, the thing is, they're going to use this to control us, because what happened is that creates the problem that needs much discussion. Because then I don't know if you use the geographer, the geologist, right? But there are compounding factors right now. As I look in the Grove, you can see the high tide. It hasn't rained in a while, right? So we know that there's a system out to sea. We know that the air is descending. It's exerting a downward force on the ocean, right? Then you would have a compounding factor like the month end, right? The month end, which means the full moon, and then the impact of the hurricane along with the waterfall, and also the speed at which the hurricane is moving through our country. All that will determine the amount of flooding and the surge. So you can tell from the pressure of the eye, right? Alexis, if they collect the data, they will know that if the pressure of a hurricane is a certain millibars, then this amount of surge. You see it over and over, right?
Mm-hmm.
So in order to avoid the helter-skelter, right? I read a book, Helter Skelter, decades ago, right? Well, in order to realize that, and avoid that. Because for me, Kamal said something very, very important. Resilience. And so even I see in the government complexes, they are putting in hurricane impact. But we know that, well, I guess we don't know the parameters of the quality of the windows, but even as the homestead has hurricane impact windows, me personally, right, Kamal, I still would do the traditional boarding up. You understand me? Because I have enough sense to know that if a hurricane is making 160, 150, 170, 180, God forbid those type of winds, right? Mm-hmm. But the flooding is what's really a concern. So people like communities, the elderly, there's certain vulnerabilities that evacuation may be necessary, but for the inside the inner city, as there is not the capacity to house everybody, then it shouldn't be come, let's go, because I am not going to go in any shelter, right? That is in a helter-skelter, that is going to make me uncomfortable and discomforted and way, and they have to have the police and all type of things going on in these shelters. So these things have to be looked in at a serious matter. When you leave, you have a house at a brand new roof, et cetera, et cetera. We should be able to have some kind of resilience here. Flooding is the basic issue. Just buy a boat or have some type of means, but you can't house everybody in a hurricane for everybody to be fused together in unsanitary conditions unless. And you said something very important: the expense of it. Putting up people in hotels and different things, it's kind of expensive. So I think resilience would be the better way to go, and educating the public as to the dangers that is coming forward. So we cannot just say a hurricane is coming and get into this frenzy, this helter-skelter frenzy. We have to compose ourselves and deal with these compounding factors. The speed, how much rain is making, the size of the eye, et cetera, all of these things count.
Yeah.
And the extension of the hurricane force winds from the center. So you can't house everybody. I'm not going to live in no shelter. I really used to that. I go up in my own. I really into that. They can't even entertain in that. Trust me, I have a right to do what that's the way I feel. Yeah. In the inner city, we will always have someone to rescue us. We will always be in close proximity to somebody. But if you're elderly and you're incapacitated, then let's go with that. But this totalitarian mommy daddy type government, it can't work, man. That's just too much now. If it's the pandemic now, the hurricane, you're telling me where to go, what to do, and all that. The shelter, they have to look into this, man. You can't just be everybody in the shelter.
All right. Thanks, caller. That is, this is like, but see, even that's the thought process that a lot of people have, which is like, I'm not leaving my place. But I think what also came out in that, in his commentary, is the vulnerable, right? We have an aging population. We have a lot of people who are vulnerable, and that's where this conversation becomes critically important, is for the people who may not be able to do for themselves. And I agree with him. Like, I would definitely still board up, even with hurricane, resistant windows. A part of it is I have young kids, and it's like, I feel like it's scary to just watch everything fly around outside. But it's also that secondary thought of, you take that extra step of precaution just in case.
Yeah, and he brought up some very good points as he was talking. It's just, again, the impact of, even from a psychological and emotional standpoint. Mm-hmm. You just mentioned it. Watching the storm take its course. Individuals who may not have the ability to move as quickly as other persons. So again, that's the conversation. That's the mapping out that government. They developed in the last 4 or 5 years. We've seen a real growth in the disaster risk authority, the disaster risk authority, and the management of it. So I think it's still some good steps. Now, I think the pace has to be picked up.
Yeah.
So this is not about condemning or knocking an action. We understand you have to do something. In the absence of certain things, you have to do something, because that's responsible governance. However, a much more aggressive and mapped out pace needs to occur to ensure that as we see global warming impacting the climate, and we need to be better prepared to manage these particular risks. It can't just be what we were doing, and then now we moved an evacuation, which is now, it's a strategy for a government of this, for a government, and is very costly. But you have to do something. Like I said, you have to do something. So it's reasonable that we do something. Mm-hmm. But again, you have to make sure that you're looking long term, not just short term solutions.
Yeah. I'm not familiar with exactly how our building code system works, but we have from the text lines, the government should be able to give a rating to every house for building code adherence and risk of flooding by scenario, be it, rain level, storm strength, and direction. Because that information could be useful for if your home is capable of withstanding a certain type of storm. And I also mentioned it's good for renters because that's a whole another segment of this conversation that we haven't really tapped on. Is there are a lot more people who are renting because it is you have a lot of people struggling to get into home ownership. So you have that other segment of people that you have to consider as well. Is the people who are renting in long-term rental situations.
Yeah, so resilience mapping is something that is out there where they do various projection. AI has now taken that to a different level where you can do the topography of the location or of the region or of the island, and you can see how it is expected and anticipated that water will flow, water will rise. That's out there. And this is why I'm saying, again, building resilience. The technology now allows us to jump this thing, catapult this initiative, this effort light years ahead, where we're not trying to figure it out and watch, because the data that has been collected, takes a while. But if you have AI now, which you can use to map out resilience based on building codes, based on the topography of the location, you can see how water runs. You can see where it's most likely to. So now we know where to build or where to reinforce the coastline, where the drainage needs to go. We can create wells. So there's no excuse that we should not be doing it.
Yeah.
We are impacted by time. We are impacted by, we're a small economy because this is going to cost money. But we have there's a strategy out there that we can develop and get it done. We saw Jamaica in their initiative. They took out the insurance offered by the United Nations disaster recovery, the World Bank rather, which is a good thing. But again, this is after the fact. What are we doing to ensure that the homes, the livelihoods of individuals are better protected? And it has to be more than just talk now. It has to be more than just talk. It is something that needs to happen.
Yeah, we
can't
have to
stop at just evacuating somebody.
Yeah, we have to move from talk to action. Okay. All right. Anything else you want to add before we wrap up? I see we're running out of time.
Yeah. Again, we understand that we have to do something. Evacuation is a viable alternative. So let's not. I don't want it to be seen as me saying that we should not evacuate, but I want it to be that we have other options. There are other options that may be more practical, that will be certainly long term. And as we build our homes, not just, again, as we build our homes, as we develop strategy from a national perspective, from a business perspective, we want to consider shelter-in-place options for our business, and then also from a national perspective.
All right. Thank you very much. That was Gamal Nuri from Preventative Measures here talking about emergency response management, evacuation or shelter in place. Thank you so much for your time this morning, Gamal.
Thank you for having me, Alexis. Enjoy the weekend.
Awesome, man. And thank you to our listeners of Morning Blend. Thank you for Chester Robards, our host this morning in place of Dwight Strachan. For our listeners, we thank you for listening and having good contributions to the show today. We are going to be followed next by On the Clock with Aaron Green. Have a great weekend, everyone.